Alright, here is how you're going to do the glue up of the bottom of your tray table. You're going to need a couple of things first. Notice that I have put a piece of tag board on here because I don't want to get glue on this table. If you're going to use the supply table over there, you can glue right on that, but if you're going to glue up on one of the workbenches or on this downdraft table, then you want to make sure you put a board down. Make sure the downdraft table is not on when you put a board on it, because it's going to suck the board down. Alright, so I have my 3 clamps set up here. You want to start your clamps with them wound all the way open to the left so you have a bunch of thread to work with. And you want the clamps up and you want the handles hanging off the table so you can spin them. So I have my 8 pieces of wood here that I'm going to use for my bottom. And on the time saver, what we did when we put this through on both of these surfaces, we made these top parts here perfectly flat, and that's the part that's going to get glue on it. So we know that this top part and the bottom part of each of these pieces is completely flat enough to make a good solid glue joint. Now I don't need all 8 of these pieces for the bottom of my tray. I'm only going to need 7 of them. So you have to make an artistic decision here of how you want to pattern this. I am going to take one of my basswood pieces out, and I'm going to go every other to make a striped pattern. And I'm going to put all the rough sawn edges up. So you only need 7 of these. You could do the opposite. You could take one of the alder pieces out, or if you wanted to do 3 and 3 or something, it's up to you. It's your artistic decision. I also have some knots in here that I like, and I'm going to create some symmetry here by flipping this piece around so that these knots are on opposite sides of each other. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see what I mean. See, there's a knot there and a knot there because this piece of wood was once one. This is called a book match. This is like opening a book. I'm going to rotate those to get some rotational symmetry here. And that's up to you how you want to lay those out. But you only need 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. If you put an 8 on, that's 1 too many. So once you get it laid out how you want it to look, then you're ready to start adding some glue to this. And some of you have done this before if you made a cutting board or if you've had to join wood together for other projects. So you're going to add glue in between the pieces, make some glue sandwiches. You can use your finger to wipe it around and make sure it's spread out evenly, that you don't want to miss any spots here. And then you just keep on working down. You want to line up the edges as much as possible. Making sure that you do a good job, but you work kind of quickly because the glue starts to dry, and if we need to move any pieces around, we want to make sure that we have time to do that before the glue gets too tacky. This basswood sometimes gets these fibers that stick out. I want to make sure I don't get any of those in between the wood joints, so I pull those away. You could even sand those down a little bit, but I'm just going to make sure that they're not in between the wood joints as I do this. It's a little bit more glue than I think I'm going to need. Not too much though, because I don't want too much of a mess. Alright, so there they all are. Put a little extra glue. I'll just put right there on that one. No glue. These fibers out of the way. So they might be different heights, but we're going to plane this or sand this down later to get them all the same thickness later on. And then I'm going to work these clamps. Space them out evenly so there's some even clamping pressure. And this is pretty thin wood, so as I tighten this, it's going to start to bow up a little bit. So you want to be aware of that so that it's not popping completely apart. And you might be able to start to see that if we look at it from the side. Okay, there's starting to be a little bit of a gap there. So you kind of have to push on it and just work the clamps around as you go. So we want to keep this as flat as possible. So this one looks pretty flat on the bottom. I got some extra glue squeezed out. Do it a little bit tighter. So now I'm going to wait a day until that's dry, and then I'll be ready for my next step.